Let's f***ing roll.
All right, everybody, welcome back to McBastard Studio. I'm Brad Banier. You're listening to the Salty MF Goat, and today we're really excited to have Brandon Burns on today. Brandon is a motivational speaker. He was a coach, fitness coach, business coach, and he's just a great guy. I met him through some mutual connections. Thought he had a good story, and he's a good dude. He's pretty jacked. He's in here. He's got his nicotine and fake water. So, Brandon, welcome.
Thanks, man. I'm pumped to be here. I got to say, this is the most creative studio name that I've ever been in. And this is also the only podcast that I've been on where the connection came from meeting somebody at a bar on Broadway.
Perfect.
I feel like that just sums up the environment, you know?
The McBastard Studio is blessed to be, christened in a bar somewhere in Nashville. I mean, we've all been there. We've all done it. So
I want to say it was Jelly Rolls.
Jelly Rolls.
Yeah, it's one newer one.
Shout out. Hey, Jelly Roll, get on band groupies, buddy. But yeah, Nashville's, Nashville, you and I were talking about that, how you met someone. I mean, Nashville is such a just unique place. You go there and there's so many people from different areas, and I've had a ton of fun in Nashville.
Yeah, it's a crazy city. It's very transient now because it's grown. I think ever since COVID, it just blew up.
Yeah.
So everybody from like New York, California, they're all just flocking to Nashville. Yeah. So if you're listening to this, don't move to Nashville. We don't want you there. We're full.
It's no fun. And Boone sucks. Don't go skiing up there either. But yeah, so, well, to me, I've just had so many good memories in Nashville, and I know you lived in Nashville for a while, and now you're here in Atlanta.
Yep.
And you have such a unique story about growing up kind of as a gymnast and then going to college at University of Michigan. And I just think you've got a great story and your energy. You've also been mentored under Eric Thomas.
Yep, absolutely.
Someone who's, if you haven't heard of Eric Thomas, he's pretty big deal in the motivational speaking area. So tell us about like just your story and what you're into and what excites you, and obviously fitness. The guy comes in jacked, and I was gonna wear my wife beater, but I didn't want to show him what I had. So
that mature strength.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that? I was at a bodybuilding competition. I did my first bodybuilding show ever in July, and I was backstage, and one of these guys walks up to me, and he just kind of starts poking at my arm, and he was like, "Dude, how old are you?" And the kid was like 19. Said, "Man, actually, I just turned 28 yesterday." He's like, "Oh, you got that muscle maturity." So that would be you if you brought your wife beater. You just have the muscle maturity.
Absolutely, with a little bit of soft around the midsection.
That's okay. We'll forgive
Chicks
you for
dig it. They love it.
Yeah,
they love that dad bod, dude.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of that dad. It's non-threatening. They're like, if I want to eat a donut, who cares? This guy has a dad bod. He's not going to judge
With me, they're like, oh, he's going to judge me. He's never going to like me again. He's thinking bad stuff about me. Yeah. I promise. What's funny is I probably eat more donuts than anybody in this room combined, but.
Hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger swears by it, man. When they were bulking, they always had the donuts. So I don't know if that's a true story or just some bullshit to sell more Dunkin' Donuts. But
there's a brand deal probably somewhere behind closed doors.
Absolutely, sprinkles. I like those sprinkles.
But yeah, man, I was born and raised in Huntsville, Alabama, 900 square foot home, single mother. Never really had a whole lot. We went into bankruptcy when I was about 11 years old. Started the sport of gymnastics when I was 10. No idea why. Like, it's the true definition of just a calling. Never saw it on TV. Nobody in my family ever did it. I just went to my mom one day and said, hey, I think I really want to do this. And she was really against it because she thought it was a dangerous sport. Yeah. And so instead, she decided to try and put me in karate. And so how the logic works where a combat sport is safer than learning how to do a handstand, I don't really understand. But what I learned about negotiation when I was a kid was that if I just started trying to walk around on my hands, then eventually I'd force her hand.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, the kid's going to kill himself, so I guess we'll put him in classes.
Yeah.
So started when I was 10, didn't compete for the first time till I was 16 years old. The gym that I grew up in, we didn't have a competitive program, so I actually started coaching when I was 14 so that I could pay to afford to switch gyms, go across town to the gym that did have a competitive program. Jumped in level 10, which is the highest level that you can compete before college, did that for 2 years, and ended up as a walk-on at Michigan.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What was the culture shock of coming from Alabama and going to Ann Arbor? I mean, what was it? Was it a culture shock to you? The size,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was. Like, everybody thinks it's the weather, right? Because you grew up in Alabama. I saw snow maybe 6 times in 18 years, and then all of a sudden I'm walking to school in a foot of snow. So that was a culture shock in itself. But the biggest thing was, man, I was homeschooled. So I started homeschooling when I was in 3rd grade all the way through high school graduation. So I went from a school of 1 person to a school of 60,000 undergrad and graduate combined. Dude, I didn't know how to make friends. I didn't know how to introduce myself to people. And I was already socially anxious. I was already an introvert. And so trying to get in that environment was very intimidating, to say the least.
It's so funny because I see people like they look at me and, you know, I haven't been in business for a long time, but, you know, they think, oh, were you just like an outgoing kid? Like, were you just, and I really wasn't. I was kind of, I don't know if I was introverted, but I don't know if I was shy or whatever. And it's funny to see later in life, like I never would have really, you know, motivational speaking, coaching, fitness coaching, business coaching. I mean, you really can't be an introvert, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to communicate. It's funny how those perceptions, like I would have never pegged. I mean, you're Clark Kent, dude. I mean,
I know. Dude, it was bad though. I mean, I used to have panic attacks on the first day of class. Even as a 21, 22-year-old 5th-year senior at Michigan, I would walk into a room of maybe 20 other kids my age, and you got that first day of class introduction that you got to do. Yeah. And so I'd stand up and say, hey, my name's Brandon. I'm studying economics and psychology. Literally panic attacks, palms sweaty, shaking. So it took me a long time to grow out of it. I don't think I ordered off of a menu at a restaurant by myself till I was like 17. You know, I was like, it's stranger danger.
I still have trouble with that. I can't order like a coffee or something, but if I'm with my family and they're like, or we're going to get something, hey, Dad, I want this burger and that. And I'm like, nah, I'm out. Y'all just tell the people whatever you want. And they
do it yourself. I can't remember all that.
It's a big like joke, but well, so is that, you know, what moved you into, I mean, obviously you're still in athletics and coaching and fitness, but what specifically moved you into kind of wanting to get into the motivational speaking or around that? Was it because you were trying to overcome, you know, that you know, that kind of, you know, fear of speaking? Is that why it drew
Not
you?
at all. Oh, no, I was happy to be afraid.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, I was happy to never talk to people. Ever. I never would have put a microphone in my hand. Yeah. So I usually tell the story in 45 minutes in a keynote on stage. I'll try and give it to you in like 2. But when I was at Michigan, actually before Michigan, when I was in high school, I started going to this gymnastics camp, a little place called Flip Fest in Crossville, Tennessee. It's in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And I couldn't afford to go to camp because we grew up pretty poor. And one of the guys who actually coached at my gym back home worked there. And he said, hey, I got you hooked up with a scholarship if you want to come.
Right.
So I go to the camp, completely changes my life. Ironically, during the intro music, while they introduce the owners and the coaches and everybody at the very beginning of camp, Eric Thomas's voiceover is playing in the background.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of a seed that would get sown later. And I go to the camp, and it was the first time anybody had ever truly poured into me like that, right? Like I had gymnastics coaches. My parents did a great job. I had good people around me, but I'd never been in an environment where somebody was like, dude, you could make a bunch of money. You could go to college and compete in gymnastics. You could be something. Yeah. I'd never really heard that kind of talk before. And it just changed me. And so I wrote an email to the camp owners as soon as I got back, and I said, I don't care what I have to do. Let me know. I got to get back here. So they write back like 2 days later. They say, I tell you what, if you want to come out here and clean our toilets, you stay as long as you want. So I go back there, and they gave me the role of junior counselor, JC, which we always used to joke and say it really stood for janitor child. Because that's what we were. We were janitor children, you know, and there was 5 or 6 of us every week, and we'd show up and we'd clean the toilets, we'd sweep the floors, we'd mop the floors, we'd do the dishes, do all the grunt work around camp in exchange for being able to stay for free and train. And I got so good at cleaning their toilets that they came back the next year and said, well, if you want to be the chief janitor child, you're more than welcome. Yeah. And so I started going out there and spending all summer, 12, 13 weeks per summer out there at Flip Fest. And I was in charge of my little group of 5 or 6 kids every week. And at the end of the day, every day at camp, we had this tradition called cabin checks. And that was where the coaches, who were like top of the totem pole in terms of camp hierarchy and respect, right? The coaches would go into the camper cabins at the end of the day, and they would just talk to them, and they'd give them life advice. They'd try and motivate them, try and pump them up. And my guys would always miss that because we were still up late cleaning the camp. But I remember when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, and I was in those guys' shoes, I was struggling with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation at times. Like I was really in a rough place at that time in my life. And I remembered how impactful those little sessions were at the end of every night. So now as a 17-year-old, I said, you know what? I don't want these guys to miss out on the benefit that I got from it. And so I went to YouTube one day and I typed in motivational speaker, another precursor to what was to come. First guy that pops up is Eric Thomas. So I watched one of his videos, And one night at the end of us cleaning, I said, hey guys, stick around for a minute. I want to tell you something. And I didn't know how to talk to people, didn't know how to speak. The delivery was trash. And I gave them the most Walmart brand motivational speech you've ever heard in your life. It was horrible. Like nothing about it was technically correct, right? But I gave it to them. And the next day, matter of fact, I think I got it in my wallet. The next day, this 16-year-old kid walks up to me and he hands me this crumpled up piece of paper and he just walked away, didn't say anything. And I unfolded it as he's already out of sight. And it says, Brandon, this week has impacted my life so much for many reasons. Coming into this week, I was going through a very rough time in my life. And sometimes throughout the week, it hit me hard, but you taught me to keep struggling and not to find a way out. I've had suicidal thoughts for about 9 months, and you helped me with that a lot throughout the week. And so it keeps going. He says a couple other things, but that was the part that hit me. And I, in that moment, just decided that my fear and my hesitation and my anxiety and everything that bothered me about interacting with other people, it suddenly meant nothing. Yeah. Because as a 17-year-old, I walked out of that one day because of this note and said, if I die tomorrow and get hit by a bus, I did something that was worth being here for. And so really it had nothing to do with me. I never had any aspirations of being a speaker. I never had any drive or desire to do any of the work that I do now. It really came to me through impact and seeing that something could be bigger than I was.
Dude, that's awesome. That's amazing. I love the fact that you have that and you carry that with you.
Keep it everywhere.
That's awesome. That's amazing. You know, it's so funny that everybody thinks of the big things that people do in life, right? Oh, whatever. I started this, you started this business, you did this or whatever. But the most impactful things are those, that moment, that interaction, like with that young kid, right? Because everybody thinks their life is either so good or so bad, right? You're either victim or non-victim. And the fact that just, like my kids always say, why do you always like tell that person that, or why do you always say that, or why, my wife doesn't like when I tell another woman her hair looks good, but I mean, it's, my
danger zone.
Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, it's just nature. But, I always say, hey, you're doing a good job or whatever. Cause as you get older, like everybody's struggling with something.
Right.
You don't know what it is. It could be anxiety. It could be, abuse. It could be maybe they're just having a shitty day. They lost their job or someone in their family's dying. There's something going on in every human's life that might be a big deal. Yeah. And most people don't, just like you're telling your story, most people don't tell their story. Hey, I was suicidal. I was this. But I think people knowing that or feeling like belonging, that, hey, how can this guy have these problems? I mean, he's a good-looking guy, he's articulate, he's whatever. He's got to be on top of the world, right? And so I don't know why I just went off on a sorry about that. I don't know, I went on a pontification of that, but I think that's awesome that you have that, man. That's awesome.
And more people need to be encouraged to share their story too, because I think right now we live in a day and age where because of social media, it has become glorified to try and act like you are perfect. Yeah. Because you think that's what's going to get you attention. Yeah. What I always tell people, especially that are maybe new to the speaking industry, nobody would listen to Eric Thomas if he wasn't up there talking about how he was homeless. Yeah. If he's like, hey, everybody, I'm a multimillionaire, I drive a Rolls Royce, and I'm on the biggest stages in the world. Yeah. And people be like,
you're nobody to me, peon.
Yeah, like people be like, screw you, dude. Like, what do you know about me and my life? Right. But the depth and the substance comes from the fact that no, this is where I am now. Right. Go back 30 years ago when I was homeless on the streets of Detroit. Yeah. Now people are like, oh, okay, if you can do it, I can do it too. Absolutely. So everybody's got a story like that, but I think most of us are so scared of the judgment of man that we don't think about the bigger purpose and the bigger picture of what maybe you went through that so that you could help somebody else out. Like one of my favorite stories is, I tell this all the time on stage, there's a guy walking down the street and he falls in a hole. And the hole's so deep and the walls are so steep that the guy can't get out. And he tries and jumps and scratches and claws and climbs, but whatever he does, he can't get out. But he looks up at the surface and he sees people walking by. And so eventually he sees a doctor walk by. He's got his white lab coat on. So he shouts up, doctor, I'm stuck down here. Can you help me out? Doctor kind of looks down there, takes out a pen and pad from his lab coat, writes out a prescription, tears it off, throws in the hole. The guy's like, well, what's that supposed to do for me? You want me to get out of here and go to a pharmacy? Like, I'm stuck, man. Yeah. Sooner or later, he sees a pastor walk by up on the surface. Got his priest robes on. Father, I'm stuck down here. Can you help me out? Priest, he's a pastor, so he's got to be a little bit more receptive to the guy. Stops and talks with him for a little bit. But eventually, he's got to go. Takes out a pen and pad, writes out a prayer, tears it off, throws in the hole. So the guy's down there like, dude, every single person that I thought was supposed to help me was not there for me right now. And I don't see a way out of this situation. That's where a lot of people are in life. I don't see a way out. Yeah. Whatever you feel right now, I don't see the other side. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sooner or later, a friend walks by, one last ditch effort of desperation. He shouts up, hey man, it's me. And I'm stuck down here. Can you help me? But the friend does something different. He looks over the edge of the hole, looks at the situation. He takes a deep breath and he jumps. And our guy's stuck down there and he says, what the hell are you doing? Now we're both stuck down here. The friend says, yeah, but I've been down here before and I know the way out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the story's never about the guy who fell on hard times and fell into the hole and didn't see a way out of a situation. It's about the guy who had been there before and then figured it out and went back, reached back to help the next guy in that similar situation. Absolutely. That's all of us, but we just don't recognize it. Whatever you're going through right now in life is preparation to uniquely appoint and anoint you to be able to help somebody else that nobody else could possibly do. There's people I can help that you can't help, and there's people you can help that I can't help because you have a way of empathizing with people's situations that you've been in that I haven't been in. You were just talking about it before we went live. You're a father. I can't help somebody who's going through marriage struggles. I can't help somebody that's going through parenting struggles. I can't relate to that.
It's a relationship. Yeah.
Right. And so if we would stop looking at life as punishment and look at it as preparation, you would find a whole new meaning and purpose to whatever struggles you might be going through.
Yeah. I mean, perfectly said. I mean, I think today as an older person, still pretty svelte, by the way, but an older person, you know, my younger kids, you know, we were at a bar having pizza or something, and two of the guys there were, you know, they're getting started. They're 20 years old, right? And they're working hard and working in jobs and deciding where they want to go to college. And, you know, they were both kind of talking about what they were doing, and I kind of felt like they didn't think that was good enough, you know? Mm-hmm. And there's so many, I love younger people like you that are, you know, years beyond in wisdom, because those people in your decade bracket or in your area or younger kids still look to you as, you know, they look at me, this is some old guy, right? Like, what the hell is this guy, right? But my point in that is young people always have to know, just because where you're at today doesn't predict where you're going to be in a year or 2 years or 3 years. And they always like, don't ever look down. Like you were talking about cleaning toilets and stuff. And people laugh because I can appreciate that, because I was a toilet cleaner as well. When I first started, you know, I got married, I had to do all kinds of jobs. I had 2 kids I had to take care of. I wasn't a tech guy then. I wasn't whatever. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I do construction, whatever, but we always used to clean offices and stuff, you know, on the weekends and whatever, to make additional money. And a lot of people don't really know that. But it's always funny, because don't ever think you're too good to do something that needs to be done. Yeah. Right? So important. Don't ever think you're too good. You know, every day, by the way, I love animals. I have 2 labs, but, you know, the other day I came out after picking up dog shit in my yard in a bag, and I'm thinking, God, my ancestors that were Vikings or whatever they were have just got to be looking down on me at this point, thinking, Jesus, dude, what are you doing?
What have we come to?
Nobody's, you know, nobody's on a pedestal, right? So for all you people out there in suburbia picking up dog shit in your yard, it'll rain. It's fertilizer. But
doing the Lord's work.
It is the Lord's work. But I love your message, and I think that you have to go through. Everyone has to go through their life circumstance, no matter what it is, right? Rich kids have other problems that people can't really understand. If you look at drug use or depression or whatever, a lot of very wealthy, you know, rich kids with everything still have problems, because it's purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'll tell you a story about that, actually, because when I went to Michigan, to your point, massive culture shock. Yeah. Like, you go from a 900 square foot home in East Limestone County, Alabama, to one of the biggest schools in the country. It's a culture shock. Yeah. And a lot of the people that I met there were obviously from different backgrounds than I was. And I ended up meeting this brother and sister, who the brother had this big YouTube channel. He was doing his thing. He was in the car YouTuber industry. And then their dad sold a company for like $200 million, right? Yeah. They were loaded, never had to worry about a thing in their life. And I ended up becoming friends with the daughter, the sister in that little family. And we were talking one time, and she was like, people don't understand how hard it is. And I'm sitting here like, I grew up poor. What do you mean?
Yeah.
How hard it is? Like, miss me with that, you know? And she went on to say like, no. No matter what I do, no matter what impact I make, no matter what career success I have, no matter what happens in my life, daddy's money. I've never felt my own sense of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, would I switch places with you? Maybe, probably, especially back then, right? I'm like, yeah, I'll take that problem. I'll give you my problems, you give me your problems, and then you give me the $100 million with it.
Absolutely.
But it made me realize that to her, that was the biggest problem in her life, and it felt just like the biggest problem in my life. So just because it doesn't look like the biggest problem in your life, you can't judge it and say, oh, well, that's less of a problem. No, that's the biggest thing that's going on for them, and it's real.
Yeah, someone once said, comparison is the thief of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so when I say that, like, and you're comparing yourself to what this person did, athletics, sports, business, life, whatever it may be, but comparison is the thief of happiness. And I believe like that's true. I mean, it's so real. I think you find what you want to do and you're obviously on your path to do what you want to do. It really shouldn't matter what everyone else does. Like it shouldn't matter, right? Who cares? This guy was he knew cars and he was a good YouTuber. Awesome.
Right.
That sounds horrible to me.
Tech sounds horrible to me.
Yeah,
like
it's horrible.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, the tech space is horrible. I mean, but it's just kind of what you do. You do whatever you can to get through where you're at.
Yeah. And this is the other thing I would tell people, especially younger people, because I remember spending probably 3 or 4 years just in constant anxiety because I was trying really hard to figure my life out. Like I 100% fell victim to that idea of by 30, you got to be at this place. By 25, you got to be at this place. And I tried to put a plan together over and over and over and over again. And of course, there's that old saying, when man plans, God laughs.
Right.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. You don't even know if you're 20 years old listening to this, you don't even know who you're going to be at 26, 27, 28. You haven't been introduced to that version of yourself yet. So trying to plan on behalf of that guy is kind of a fool's errand. And not to be like a Bible thumper about it, but what scripture never told you to make a 17-step plan to get where you want to go in life. What it does say is everything your hands find to do with all your might. And so when I was cleaning those toilets, I was cleaning them as best I could. Before I left, my mom said, if you're going to clean their toilets, be the best damn toilet cleaner they've ever seen. And that was my goal. Yeah. And that, ironically, is how I ended up at Michigan, by the way. The owner of the camp wrote me a letter of recommendation to the head coach.
That's awesome. Yeah, but think about it. They're just tasks, right? I mean, I was in construction. I had a decks business that we did pressure washing. I'm the least handy person in the world. I have 10 thumbs. I'm terrible. You didn't want me doing your deck. You didn't want me doing any of that stuff. But like I said, I needed to do it at that time. And what it did is it made me realize I hope young people out there do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Because I did all kinds of stuff. Because then you kind of find like, hey, this sucks. Yeah. I know I don't want to do this. And my father-in-law used to say, because he had a construction business, and we poured foundations. I don't know if you know what that's like, but it's real work. And I remember like the day I told him, like I was just doing it kind of to for 8 or 9 months to figure out what I want to do. And the day I came and said, hey, look, I appreciate the opportunity, but this sucks. And I definitely know I do not want to do this. And he brought that up to me a couple of months ago. He goes, I was so glad you came to me that day and did that, because I knew, like, I was wondering, I was like, I kind of want him around. He's a good worker, but like it's just, like I said, try anything, do everything you can, and experience as much as you can. And then you kind of find your gift, right? You know.
I love that you say that, because I do think, especially for young people who are interested in the entrepreneurshut community, because it's cool now, right? Yeah. Being a business owner is cool. Being an entrepreneur is cool.
It's cool,
like, it's stressful is what it is. But it's become cool. Your social media made it cool. And a lot of people are being told, you got to niche down. You got to find one thing and stick with it. You got to do one thing and pinpoint the market and blah, blah, blah. When you're 5-10 years in, great advice. When you're getting started, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Do everything. I think you have to go broad first before you can go narrow, because you have to understand you. Like when I speak to college students, the biggest thing I tell them is screw your grades. If you can leave here and know who you are and what you want, you're ahead of the curve. Yeah. You're ahead of the curve. And most people don't know who they are and what they want. And I think the only way to find out is by dipping your toe into everything that you possibly can. Like, man, I laid insulation in an attic at that camp and like 120 degrees in that attic. Like, I did all sorts of stuff.
It's the worst.
I had the same conclusion as you. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, a call out to my older son Connor. We redid our other basement, our house, and I didn't want to pay someone to do it, so my older kid, poor Connor, we insulated that whole thing, and it was just like, he always tells me, Dad, I probably have lung damage, because of that. I was like, yeah, well, we saved 10 grand, but anyways, yeah, it's being a dad and having your kids is a great thing. But sorry, Connor, I made you do the insulation.
How do you feel like you've managed because you've had a very like diverse array of life experiences. Just from knowing you for the little bit that we've known each other, it sounds like you've got a ton of stories. How have you managed exposing your kids and letting them have all those different life experiences versus, okay, here's way too much that I did. I learned this. I'm gonna keep you away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how have you balanced that?
So if you know me a little bit now, I'm pretty straightforward and I say shit that's inappropriate all the time and just whatever I feel. But I wanted my kids to know who I was when I was younger. And it bothered my wife, God bless my wife. She's a saint. She's awesome. She's the only reason I'm probably still alive. So I give her a lot of kudos to that. But I let them know everything I did. And even if it was bad or something they shouldn't do, because I wanted them to hear my experience and what I really have learned about what I did or why I thought it was wrong or why you probably shouldn't do it. Right. So everything that I came from or perspective, now if I hadn't done it or whatever and I didn't know, I tried to let them make their own decisions. But parenting is such a unique thing. I mean, I was never a real stickler. All my kids played sports. If they like sports, great. Some of them did, some didn't. I was a sports guy. I like sports. But I never forced them to do stuff they didn't want to do. And I think the hardest thing about a parent is letting a kid find out on their own. Like even when I knew this isn't the right guy for my daughter or like this isn't the right thing for my sons or whatever, I would tell them what I thought. Maybe they didn't listen to me, but you have to go through your own struggles. You have to go through your own mistakes. That's how you grow, right? So I don't know if that answered your question specifically, but it's been the greatest thing. I tell people, you're young, you guys don't do it, but you talk about God. I'm a God man. So the good Lord has put me here for a reason and done really amazing things for me. I know He's real. I don't need someone to tell me He's real, but I think it's just that you gotta go through it, right? You gotta go through the pain, and it sucks because you don't want your kid to be sad. You don't want your kid to be sad over a breakup. You don't want your kid to, fail a class. You don't want your kid to be ostracized. You don't want your kid to not fit in. But the reality of it is you don't dictate that. You don't dictate that. Society dictates that. And look, we've got a lot. The thing I like about people and motivational and, things that give people ideas and give them hope and give them, some guidance is we all need that. Like my wife goes, why? I used to love Norman Vincent Peale, Dale
classics.
Carnegie, all the kind of class, Harvey McKay from the business side. Harvey's a good man, 93 this year. He's still kicking. Harvey, you're the man. I love that stuff because it gives you hope. It gives you, just like you said, oh, if he can do it, or if he believes in me, I can do it. And what the world needs is more people to believe in you. Don't shit on people. Don't criticize people. It may mean that's something you don't want to do, whatever. But hey, you want to be a gymnast? That's awesome. Your mom wanted to be a gymnast. Now you're in all kind of athletic stuff. You want to play soccer, or you want to be a mycologist and study fungi, or whatever you want to do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Encourage your kids to do what they want to do. That's my parenting thing. I'm out. So,
here's a big idea for you. What if God feels the same way about us? Like the same way that you wish that you could give your kids absolutely everything, but you know that they have to go through their own experience. What if that's how God feels about us? And when you get pissed that God just didn't answer your prayer 5 seconds later and give you $1 million and the woman of your dreams and this and this and that, maybe it's because He needs you to go through the process of development to become the person who's capable of stewarding those gifts.
I love that. It's got chills because I believe this. I believe that you have to be humbled and gracious in the presence of God. God is our Father. God is, we're brothers, we're sisters, we all share similar, same DNA. We're all loved just as much. And the reality of it is, I believe that sometimes you will be broken and lose everything and whatever, and it's not a curse. It's preparing you for your next phase of what you should be or who you are, or your next level of enlightenment, whatever you want to talk about, the Nirvana crew out there, those guys. It's enlightening you to recognize and stop and see, because we're so bombarded. Like, so I grew up in the tech space. Oh, not because I love technology. I hate technology, but I grew up in it because I had to, provide for my family and all this stuff. But we're in such a technology age where stuff just like what we're doing, just sitting down, looking each other in the eye, sharing conversation. There's no agenda. There's no, like, today's generation has lost that because they're getting the dopamine hits from some guy in his Ferrari on whatever, or some guy. And I think it's a sad case. I wish, the only reason I like podcasting is to sit here with someone like you for an hour for
however long,
just to talk.
Yeah.
Right? Just to talk. Like, how many people could you change your lives if you sat down and someone's like, hey man, I'm having a shitty day and this is kind of what's going on. And that person goes, hey man, I've been there. I had that shitty day. This is how I got over it. Right. Or these are a couple things I did, or I'm still not over it, but I've learned to manage it. Just like you saved that kid's life, right? That happened because you had a conversation. You weren't afraid. Right. The Walmart speech.
Yep.
Though maybe not polished.
Oh, not at all.
Not spell checked, not grammar checked. AI didn't run through it. AI didn't write it for it. ChatGPT didn't write it. It was from your heart. And that kid realized that. Yeah. And that's the difference. When someone's genuine and they're truthful, how can you debate it? How can you argue with anyone that's truthful and genuine? Yeah. You can't.
Yeah. And part of being truthful and genuine is having the life experience to be able to be truthful and genuine. Like, that was a big mindset shift for me, even just in the last couple of years, because I was looking around at the speaking industry and I'm like, God, why is that guy on stage instead of me? Right. And I was pissed about it. And again, going back to your point, you might just be being prepared, not punished. Yeah. And that's the dissonance that we always have. We confuse preparation for punishment. This is what blew my mind. I used to pray to be able to impact a lot of people. Like, that was my vision. And I want to make a lot of money doing it. I wanted to reach a certain level, but career stuff aside, North Star was I want to be able to make an impact positively on as many people as I possibly could. And I sat back and thought about it and I said, okay, B, if you want to be able to make an impact on people, you have to be able to connect with people. They're not going to, you have to connect before you can correct. So you can't teach anybody until you connect with them first. Right. If you're going to be able to connect with a lot of people, you got to be able to empathize with a lot of people. Yeah. So guess what? I might have to put you through a season of debt. I might have to put you through a season of addiction. I might have to put you through a season of heartbreak. You might have to lose some people in your life. You might have to go through this. You might have to go through that. Because that is necessary. It's a prerequisite. You stand up there on stage talking about stuff you've never lived, never been through, that you read in a book. It's not going to work. Yeah, like, people will be able to feel the dissonance there. Absolutely. So again, to your point, everything that you do in your life, you need to start looking at it through the lens of, how is this experience preparing me to pass this on to somebody else and help other people? My life changed when I started viewing every interaction as I'm either helping somebody become more or become less. And that can happen. And most people aren't ready to even think about that. Yeah. Like, you can treat other people in a way that will make them become less of who they were meant to be. They will never reach their full potential because you did them dirty, because you did something wrong to them, because you made them be the reason. You're the reason that they don't trust people anymore. Right. But the opposite can also be true. We can't create humanity the way that God can, but we can definitely help them become more. Absolutely. You can go pour into somebody, you can coach somebody, you can connect with somebody, you can inspire somebody, give somebody hope, and now all of a sudden they become more of who they were meant to be in the first place. Well, and every interaction's like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always thought about, like, why burn shit down? Exactly. Like, I mean, just from if somebody's doing something to you or whatever, it's really not your problem. It's their problem. And people take it on like I've got to be right or I've got to defend my. You know what? You know, everyone has the right. I love this saying. Everyone has the right to not have an opinion. So if you want to talk to me about some subject, first of all, I may not know about. So I'm like, hey, look, Brandon, I don't really know, bud, or whatever. Or you want to push some. This is what I believe. This is what. Okay, you know, listen,
what's that have to do with me?
I'll listen to you, but like I have the right to say. You know, I've had people come to me with the craziest ideas, and I have crazy shit. I do stupid shit, crazy shit sometimes. You're like, why would you do, like naming a company Salty MF or having a McBastard studio? But my point in that is you don't have to react to anything. And for most people that are critics, what I've found in life, most people who are critics have never done it, have never gone through the pain, have no idea the financial impacts behind it or what it took for you to get to the place you are. So opinions are like assholes, everyone has one, stop. But it's also our responsibility. It's like you say, it's my responsibility to have enough confidence in myself, believe in myself, understand where I'm at, understand that I do have the favor of God, whether it's a good situation or not, and do what I need to do. And not let the outer world tell me, like, your dream isn't the right dream. Yeah. Your vocation isn't the right dream. What you're doing isn't the right dream. And I think we'll go back to the parents. Parents make a big mistake on that. They put a lot of things and think, hey, my kid should be an astronaut. Well, let's be honest. She or he's not going to be an astronaut. It's okay. But you have unrealistic expectations. Yeah. You're not a fucking astronaut, so why do you think they're going to be an astronaut, right?
Oh, my
Mike,
God.
That's not about you, buddy.
My favorite. See, I learned that when I was coaching gymnastics at 14, 15, 16 years old, and these parents would come in. My daughter's going to be an Olympian. How you know? You made it to level 4. What you know about this?
Genetics. She's got the genetics.
Right. It's like, how did that happen? And then this kid grows up with all these expectations and pressures on him to be the next Simone Biles. And it's like, maybe just let them have fun and see if they're good at it. And if they're good at it, then they can work hard at it. And then if they work hard at it, then the dream will develop.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it's a step-by-step process.
It's a great point. And, dedication comes from within. Why do I want to get up and do this? Why am I putting myself through this? So you can outward pressure people. Got to be this one. You got to be this one. You got to get up. And some of that works because you don't want to let that person down or let your coach down or whatever. But in the end, and I've been at that place too, where you wake up and you're like, screw this. I really don't want to do it. I don't have a passion for it. I get it. And I know people think, wow, you're really amazing at that. And you may be, but you're like, it's not in my heart. You know, I can do it. I'm good at it, but it's just not my heart. And that's the hardest thing I've seen with athletes, with military people we've had on, is they get to that point. Every athlete, every military, anyone that's in kind of physical type, demanding mental, physical things, you come to a point in your life where you have to let it go. And what do you typically do? Well, you might become a coach.
Yeah. Hey, right? Those who can't play coach,
and you're still in there, right? You might. And the greatest value, when I stopped playing football for a long time, this is not about me, and I'm talking on them, but we're telling life stories. It was very hard for me to watch the sport of football. I kind of fell out of love with it. 100%. I'd done it for 15 years.
It's called PTSD, post-traumatic sports disorder.
I love it. We're going to make a shirt. I'm the poster child. But, then my kids started getting of age, and one of the coaches was doing something, and I knew, like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And I made a comment to him, like, dude, you can't do that, whatever, because I knew a little bit about it, right? He's like, look, no offense, dude, but why don't you put your money in your mouth, this asshole? Why don't you come coach? And I'm grateful for that because it made me think, yeah, he's right. I mean, if I'm going to criticize that asshole who's criticizing people was me. Sorry, I'm only human. But and I did it, and I got into it, and I fell in love with it again. And I got more passionate watching these kids have fun and learn stuff. So it's funny how life will put you in the right direction if you're listening.
If you're listening, and that's a key thing. Really quick, I want to go back to what you said about discipline. because a lot of people think that if there's a gap in their life and they know that they could be doing better, but they're not doing better, I can just listen to David Goggins 24/7 and it's going to fix my life, right? But to your point, that's external motivation, which to be fair can get you started. Sometimes that is necessary. Like sometimes if people come up to me after an event and they're like, man, that speech, that presentation changed my life. No, it didn't. It might have sparked something, but if your life changes, it's because you changed your life.
Yep.
Right? Eventually, you have to get to a point where you shift from the external motivation to the internal motivation, or else you're just going to run out of gas. Like, cool, you want to be successful so you can get a house or a car or travel or this, and that. That'll get you to a certain point, but you will burn out.
Absolutely.
I promise you will burn out until you find something that lights you up internally first, right? Now, the second thing, that to your point about just being self-aware, if you're listening to life, I got this championship ring on. I won this as a coach, not as an athlete. So when I went to Michigan, I was a walk-on. I was redshirted my freshman year, so I couldn't compete, wasn't quite good enough then. I was cut from the team the next subsequent 4 years in a row. So showed up, which is quick to say, took a long time to live. 4 years in a row of showing up. I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm being told I'm not good enough. My results are telling me I'm not good enough over and over and over. Injuries, stress, anxiety. And then during my 5th year, I still had eligibility left. And I was already kind of working as a volunteer coach. And we had a guy on the team get kicked off for behavioral issues. He got caught doing drugs or something. So he gets kicked off the team. Head coach comes to me, says, Brandon, I know you've been working on this for 5 years. Like, this has been your dream, was to compete for this team. You've been failing, you've been trying, you've been failing. The spot's open if you want it. He said, but I think you would add more value to us as a coach. I would like to just put you on the staff instead.
That's awesome.
And what's funny about that is I knew from day one, I could have saved myself 5 years of hell. I knew from day one I was a better coach than I was a gymnast. I was good. But like, you got to remember, men's gymnastics is a dying sport. I think we've got 18 NCAA teams right now, maybe less. And each one of those teams has 20 roster spots. So you're the 1% of the 1% in this country of male gymnastics if you make an NCAA team. I was maybe top 2.5%. I was good, but I wasn't that good. And so I could have sat there and made excuses of why I got cut, injuries, recruiting classes, whatever. But at the end of the day, I just didn't make it. I never liked competing. I hated it. I loved training so much, like just the art of practicing and getting better. I loved it so much. You put me in freaking tights in front of a crowd of 500 people, and now I got to go do this performance. I hated it. I hated it. But the funny thing was, I always knew that I loved coaching, and I knew that I was good at coaching. What I should have done is said, you know what? I know there's this pressure to be the man, be the student athlete on campus, do all this stuff. I should have said, you know what? It's honestly not what I want to do. I'd rather just work out for fun and be successful as a coach. And so I worked half as hard to get these championship rings as a coach as I did failing as an athlete.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, it's talking about, molding a person, right? Or shaping a person into what you're going to be, right? You're in the future. No one knows that. Like I don't know what I'll be 10 years from now.
Right.
Like I'm being molded through things like this or whatever my experiences are, or kids or grandkids or whatever. We're always evolving. And it's funny how you look back though, you're like, oh, I just should have coached. But reality of you think that, but you probably wouldn't have been as good a coach.
Oh, definitely.
If you had tried to skip that 4 years of struggling to make it,
Well, what's ironic is a lot of people ask me, how are you able to command respect with those guys that were on the team with you, that knew you from back when you kept getting cut? They knew that you got cut. Did they not have an attitude of, well, who are you to tell me how to do this when you can't even do it yourself? And I really think the answer is they knew who I was as a person, and they knew how much I cared about the team and that team's success.
Absolutely.
Like they watched me work for 4 or 5 years straight without ever getting a reward for it. So they knew I was the type of person that whether or not you dangle a carrot in front of me, I'm still going to give you my best. And I think that was what allowed me an in for them to respect me enough to take the coaching and then eventually lead us on to the championships.
Well, I think that's important because I think also, though, I think people who've worked hard and were that starting crew or team, they put in just as much effort as you were putting in. They know that you put the effort in, right? I'll never forget, we had a kid, and we were young, we were in high school, and we had a kid on the football team. He was not a good football player. I mean, he just wasn't. He was small. He was, he just, wasn't like, oh, wow, this kid's fast. He's whatever. He just loved it. and the kid would just get killed, like all the time.
Yeah.
But over time, like I remember us, and like he became a good friend of ours. I had the utmost respect for that kid.
Yeah.
Like I knew him, like this kid, he'll never play a down of football, but this kid has heart, guts. He loves the team. He loves the sport. He loves what's going on. That's really cool to me. Like, so he earned the respect because people realize, all right, yeah, dude's not getting on kickoff. He's not even going to hold, he's not, but like everyone on the team respected the kid and he belonged.
Right.
That's another thing about people don't realize. You get in a situation where whether you're a coach or you're assistant or you're a player or you're a third string, you belong. Right. And I think that belonging to me is sometimes more important than who's a star or not. It's a team, it's a group, it's a brotherhood, it's a family. And I don't know. That's
well, also, I think that those are transferable skills, right? Like work ethic, integrity, trying your best no matter what, researching, putting in the work to outside of the gym to see how good you can get. That's going to transfer to everything you do, either career, parenting, no matter what you do, that skill set will transfer. Talent doesn't always transfer. Like you might just be genetically gifted and a freak of nature. What's that going to do for you in your career?
Yeah. I hated those guys too that were they're like, they didn't have to work out, they didn't have to, and they come out and run a 4.25 or something. You just be like, Jesus, I'm out here running sprints as a fat guy.
Like, what am I doing here?
Like,
Should I go home?
This guy walks on. He just came out. He, had 5 hamburgers, smoked a joint, and I don't know, 4.25, whatever. But good for you.
Right. Happy for you, bro.
Yeah, good for you, man. Good for you. Well, I mean, so what? All the things you've done, and what you like. Where do you really want to go? Because you're kind of you're a mix, obviously, as an athlete, from like sports speaking to business kind of coaching. Where do you see yourself like really wanting to be in 5 years? Other than hey, Brandon Burns, national motivational speaker. Like what to you? I mean, you've already said you want to help people. If you're helping people, that in itself is by itself. If you do nothing, but where do you see yourself maybe in 5 years?
Yeah. I really want to spread the message, man. I want to grow the speaking platform. I want to write some books. I got like 6 half-written books in my Google Drive right now, so I need to finish a few of those. Again, bigger stages, just more impact, coaching more people. So the speaking thing is the number one, North Star for me. Fitness is always going to be a part of it. I'm never going to stop working out. I think I've worked out every day in some capacity for the better part of a decade at this point, maybe more. So that's always going to be a part of it. Like I would love to be the old guy who's like, no offense, your age, still doing backflips, Like I think that'd be cool, Like imagine if you could just finish this podcast and bust out a backflip. You'd be the coolest guy in the world. I want to do that.
I couldn't even do a backflip when I was really good. It's funny you say that though, because I've been around fitness my whole life as well, and I'm a big believer in fitness for a lot of reasons, just for your sanity, obviously your health, stress management. And I do things a little different now than I would have done when I was younger. But I think if you can give any message to anyone, do some sort of exercise. You don't have to be balls to the wall. You don't have to have a, supermodel body. It's just so good for your soul and,
100%.
your bit, walk, ride a bike, do something, do push-ups. You can do that, whatever. It really will change your life. And, as you get older, you're sitting across from Kent Clark, Superman here. So I'm kind of slowly hunching my shoulders. But, I've had several people. People don't realize my dad died. I was really depressed for about a year after he died. He was a really good dude. And I went like 280. And, I'm probably 225, 220. That's kind of weight for me. And I just kind of, fell off. And, 280, my kids will tell you too, they send me pictures when I was 280. It's like, holy shit, I was fat. It's fat as shit. Like, why didn't y'all tell me I was fat? And like, well, you were happy. Like, you're a happy fat guy.
At least you're fat and happy. You had a good personality.
Yeah, we love you, whatever. But it just, I was like, no. You got to live, and I didn't do it to look good or I did it to live, made it a habit. Like you said, the hardest thing about fitness, make it a habit, make it a routine, do something every day or every other day, just make it a habit, and then it becomes easier.
Yeah, it becomes an identity. I mean, part of my whole brand is every day means every day. That's the mantra. That's the slogan. And just real quick, I know I told you earlier when we first met about the story of that, but I was in Chicago, Big Ten Network Studios, walked out of the broadcast booth. Some guy grabs me, says, "Man, how often do you work out?" Instinctively, I just said, "Every day." He said, "Well, no, I know you used to be an athlete, but like, what's your actual schedule? How often do you go to the gym?" I said, "I'm confused why you're confused, because I just told you I work out every day. So where's the ambiguity in that statement?" And it made me realize that the standard is so low in society right now that even the act of articulating your dedication and commitment to something on a daily basis rather than an occasional basis is just unbelievable to people.
Yeah.
But the reason that I do that has nothing to do with having 22-inch biceps. Like, that's cool. I like it. I'm going to keep doing it. But
22-inch biceps. Ladies,
it's on there.
his girlfriend's in the studio, so take it easy. Taken.
But the reason that I do that, I like to look good, I like to feel good. The real reason is because I believe you can kid a kid, you can fool a fool, you can con a con, but you can't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that your soul believes half of what you tell it and all of what you show it.
Yeah.
And so I want to show myself that I love myself, that I care about myself, that I'm committed to being my best self, that I'm committed to being here for a long time, that I am actually dedicated to showing up for me. That's why I go to the gym every day. I don't want to face a hard circumstance in life and hope that I'm tough. Hope that I'm disciplined, hope that I'm dedicated. That's a bad battle plan. You know?
Absolutely.
I want to be able to look back on 15 years of receipts and be like, nah, you are that guy. Like, you proved it. So you can go into this situation knowing who you are, not hoping who you are.
Absolutely. I think it's great advice. I mean, I think, like I said, if you just give it the problem, I think people with fitness, and I'm not a fitness guru, but they don't realize, like, my dad always say, hey, you dug this hole for, 5 years and dumped the shit on you. You're not going to crawl out in a day. And I think people think that, that they're just going to go work out. That's why so many fall off. New Year's, everyone gets going. They just think, oh, I'm going to go at it. I'm going to go at it. I'm going to go at it. And then I'm going to be that fitness model 30 days in. You're not. If you start and you do a good job, you'll start to see results 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months. And then by you do it a year and you make it routine, by year 2, you will be that, whatever you want to be. It's a time and, just like you said, dedication. And I just don't,
Yeah, I mean,
nobody wants to put the work in, dude.
No.
It's and it's not hard. Oh, how could you do that? Okay, well, you've just scrolled on, YouTube or Instagram for 2 hours.
You can't walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes.
You just wasted it. Watch it on the treadmill, right? But anyways.
Yeah, well, February is like the biggest month in the entire fitness industry because everyone falls off from their New Year's resolutions. Yeah. So it's just. One of my buddies, his name's Toby Nwigwe. He's a rapper out of Houston, and Eric Thomas, discovered him when he hadn't even found music yet. And he was like, dude, you really got a talent for this music thing. I think you should take a shot at it. And Toby was like, man, I don't know about all that. So told him, tell you what, write off 5 years. Just write off 5 years. And don't look at the results. Don't look at your stream numbers. Don't look at your YouTube subscribers. Just write off 5 years and go all in on this. And then if it still sucks at the end of 5 years, quit. And in 3 years, he had 2 million followers on Instagram and was this mega star.
That's crazy.
And I think the differentiating factor in that is if you go into anything in life just assuming, okay, this is going to take a minute,
right?
And I don't care how much it sucks along the process. I'm writing off the cost and writing a blank check for this. If you can go into it with that mindset, there's almost nothing that you can't do. Yeah. The problem is people think that they're going to get the 30-day results, like you just said, and then they get pissed when they don't. They're like, oh, well, screw it. I just won't do it at all. Like, no, you haven't earned it yet. Yeah. You have earned nothing in 30 days.
Yeah. It's just like business too. I mean, you and I talked, I think, before we, booked this session here is, people always ask me, like, are you going to start a business? And people don't like the answer sometimes. I'm like, if you're not going to give it 5 years, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's just so hard. I mean, you got to get awareness. You've got to get momentum. You've got to get, there's so many things. You got to stay in business. You got to fund this shit. Like, it's not like magic. And it's always amazed me. I love this saying, I don't know if you've heard it or not, but it says, people always want to be a part of the result or the final product and not the process.
100%.
And they look at a business or a person and they think, oh, that guy's just always been that way, or that lady's always been that way. Well, no, maybe they've been working on that shit for 20 years or 50 years in my case, or whatever it is. They just see the end product and don't really understand, holy shit, there was a lot that went in for even this to happen.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, to be honest, that's why God doesn't show us the process. Because if he did, we'd quit.
Yeah.
We wouldn't take that deal.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know? Like one of my buddies, Inky Johnson, another big motivational speaker here in the Atlanta area. You know, he was paralyzed at Tennessee playing football, and it turned into a massive career for him. But if you had went to 19-year-old Inky and said, hey, I'm going to take away your dreams of the NFL and taking your family out of this situation and this environment, but it's going to cost you having a paralyzed arm and you're never going to get to play football again, you think he would take that deal as a 19-year-old kid? I wouldn't.
You wouldn't. I think that, talking about, I think as humans, we can't comprehend, first of all, the universe, or really what's going on here down to the, molecules or atoms of our makeup. And I see people, I think personally, they misconstrue religion as like good or bad, or you're going to be punished if you do this, or you're going to be rewarded if you do this. And honest to God, I don't believe that. Like, I don't believe that's part of, obviously you don't want to be a derelict and do crazy stuff to people, but sometimes maybe that's part of you being brave. Talk about so many stories about people being homeless or terrible things happening to them, and what their life becomes is amazing. Like, that moment didn't define them. That moment didn't hold them. It didn't cage them. And I think we look at time like, oh, wow, 57 years, that might be a long time. But reality, that's a friggin'
nothing
speck in the eternity, right? And we feel like we should be rewarded. Sometimes you do a lot of good work, you do a lot of good things, and in the human side, you're not awarded for it. No good deed will go unpunished. So.
Yeah. But then you got to ask the question, it's like, why do you need a reward?
Yeah.
Like, why is your only motivation to do right by people, or even to do right by yourself, a reward? Why do you need a six-pack abs and big biceps to go to the gym and show yourself that you care about yourself and love yourself? Why do you need the idea or the prospect of making $1 million in a business if the business's goal is to help and add value to the marketplace and people? Why do you need that? And I'm not saying that these are bad incentives, but I do think the world is set up and designed in such a way where a lot of times we chase the shallow stuff that we think we want, and that's just kind of the carrot that the universe dangles in front of us to get us to go through the process that we really should be going through intrinsically. The reward you don't get 10 years later when you finally see that check at your bank account, or you finally see the version of yourself that you wanted to in the mirror. The reward is instantaneous. It's who you're becoming in that moment.
Absolutely.
I think people miss that.
Yeah, they miss it. I mean, it's just because society values things that, we used to talk growing up, we'd say things like integrity or loyalty or trust or things like that. And those words kind of fall out of the everyday vocabulary, right? They misplace those, or they don't put them there on purpose, because unity starts with relationships, which grows into community, family, community, whatever. And those are important things if we want to go. But can you, this has been amazing, dude. You're amazing. Can you tell everybody like how to find you, like how to follow you, how to get involved in one of your programs? And let's do it. For sure.
Yeah, it's I am B Burns on all social media. IAMBBURNS, pretty much every social media. Instagram's the main one right now. I haven't taken Gary V's advice and branched out. I was just saying on the way down here, I got to start a podcast. Like, I got to stop being on them and start my own.
You got a spot now.
I know, right? I got a studio now. Coming at you live from the McBastard studio. But yeah, man, I am B Burns on social media, and then BrandonLeeBurns.com.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, you've been awesome. I'm so glad we connected. Nothing is happenstance. I think everything happens for a reason. You get connected to good people, and your message is awesome. You're very articulate. You kind of walk the walk. So if someone's gonna, you can talk to them about fitness and talk to them about motivation, and I think it's amazing. And I'm honored to have you on, and I'm looking forward to staying with you guys as you climb that mountain.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Let's do it again sometime.
Let's do it, man. You're welcome anytime in the McBastard Studio. So you heard it, folks. Brandon Burns live from the McBastard Studio, Salty MF Go podcast. Check him out. Go see what he's doing. He's a good guy. He's got some good messages out there. And also young people, find someone in your group or around your age that you can trust and are good people and learn from them. You're not alone out there. Don't worry about where you're at. Just try to get to the spot you want to go and keep moving. That's all, folks.